The New York Mets absolutely robbed Major League Baseball both in the 2024 offseason and way back when in the 2021 offseason. As you see on your screen, the two players we're going to be talking about today are Griffin Canning and Francisco Lindor. Welcome back to Mets Digest, everyone. I'm your host today, Mike Duda. And as always, I like to start with some statistics, and the stats are showing that 77.2% of you that watch these videos are not subscribed. Please do us a favor here at Mets Digest and hit that free subscribe button. That way, we at Mets Digest can bring content to you about the amazing. So, Griffin Canning and Francisco Lindor are the two focuses of today. We'll start with the more recent signing in the 2024 offseason. The New York Mets agreed to terms with Griffin Canning on a one-year, $4.25 million contract, and it has worked. It has been really, really good. Canning has looked great through his first four starts, the last of which coming last night in a 4-1 victory against the St. Louis Cardinals. 6 innings of just one earned run baseball for Griffin. So, here comes some statistics for you. As always, look at the great improvement that we have seen from Canning. Last year, a 5.19 ERA, a 6-13 record. He pitched a lot of innings. His whip was pretty high at 1.4. Granted, this year his whip is still pretty high at 1.33, matching his career. But look at how low the ERA is compared to last year. 3.43. It went down almost 2 full points. A 2-1 record, so he's now above 500 as a pitcher, as opposed to far below 500 last season. In his career, he's also a below 500 pitcher and a 4.73 ERA, so again, about 1.5 better points this year in ERA, and the same whip. He has looked really, really good this year. You can see it a little bit more with him compared to his career statistics. If you look at the ERA, a 4.5, basically a 4, up to a 5, got hurt and didn't pitch in 2022, a 4.3, which was his best year to date in 2023, but then went back up in 24 to over a 5 ERA. And you see now a 3.43. A lot of improvements from Griffin Canning. The WAR is looking better as well. Like we said earlier, the records, really just everything all around is looking much, much better for Griffin Canning. He's striking out a decent amount of batters. His walks are still a little high. That's my only concern I have on Griff. But other than that, he's looked great. And you can see it from the game logs. And yes, this is actually from Fangraphs. If you know me, I'm not the biggest in terms of Fangraphs and these really intense statistics. However, I kind of like the way that this game log is. And you see here how he's pitched. Now, what I want to focus on are the left on base rates and the ground ball rates for Canning through his first 4 starts, because you see from the actual stats that his worst start by far was in Oakland back on April 11th. Other than that, he's pitched really good. His worst outing before that against Houston, 2 earned runs over 5 2/3. That's a really good start still. 1 earned over 4 against Toronto, pretty solid. And then last night he was stellar, 1 over 6. But what went wrong in that A's game? If you look at the left on base categories, he is pitching to guys with runners on, and he's giving up more hits. Therefore, he's giving up more RBIs, more runs, and that's about a 10% difference compared to last night. And compared to his best game statistically, it's a 17% difference, which means he's giving up more hits when guys are on, therefore producing more runs for the opponents. But another thing I want to look at here is the ground ball rates. You see he's hovering in the 60 percentiles and above in all of his starts, except that poor game in Oakland where he was just below 37. So what we see from Canning is when he's getting the ball on the ground more, he's a more effective pitcher. And you see that typically with pitchers and in the sport of baseball. If you're going to have the opponents hit the ball on the ground, more likely you're going to have worse contact from them. You're going to give up less hits, and you're going to give up less big hits like doubles, triples, and homers. Now, we also see this in terms of his career. I'm going to start with the pitch selection, because this is another thing that Canning has improved upon. This is courtesy of Baseball Savant. Again, another statistic one that's kind of analytical, really analytical. And I don't know. I guess I just went with it. You see the four-seam fastball, the rates are declining, which makes sense because he's throwing more off-speed pitches. I mean, look at the way his slider was. His slider went like this. Up to down, back up, and it stayed up until it hit a steep decline last year, and now it's back up in 2025. The changeup rate compared to 2019 when he was a rookie back to today is absurd. He's throwing a little bit less than he did last year, but that changeup rate is great. He is also throwing those three pitches just at a good rate. A couple of declines. You also see his, I believe that's his sinker. Yeah, his sinker is on the incline. It's not much. It's about 2% compared to 2022 when he started 23 rather when he started throwing that. But all of his pitches have a little bit more tendency, except for the fastball. He's going to that changeup. He's going to that slider a lot more, and it's really working for him well, as you could see from the statistics. Going back to what I was talking about earlier with the ground ball rates, you see in his career, Canning on average gets 40.7% ground balls and about 60% in the air. That's worse than the average MLB player on the ground by 4% and 4% more in the air than the average MLB player. But look at this year. This year, he is 14 percentage points above his personal statistics and 10% over the MLB average in terms of getting ground balls. And then when it comes to the air, he is doing way better than his career, 14% lower than him as a player and 10% higher than the MLB average. So a lot of these analytical stats are showing you why Canning has looked so good. He's mixing up his pitches more. He's relying less on the fastball, and it's making hitters question what he's going to throw a little bit more. And of course, he's getting ground balls. So Griffin Canning, continue the great work. He has looked like an absolute steal for the Mets, just over $4 million, which is so cheap for any player nowadays in baseball, let alone a guy who is pitching at a really good rate like Griffin Canning. Now, the next guy that we need to talk about, yes, I know this trade was forever ago, but Francisco Lindor. You see on your screen, I believe it was January 7th, 2021. The fact that I remember that shows just how influential this trade has been. Look at the four guys the Mets gave up. Andres Gimenez is solid. He's playing well. But other than that, there's really nobody that the Mets gave up, and they got a guy who most certainly should be their captain right now. There's no question in my mind that he should be their captain. He is their leader off the field. Go back to last year, Lindor held player-only meetings. He was a big part of the reason why they turned that disastrous season around last year and ended up making a really deep playoff run. He is a statistical threat, and overall, he is a great player. I truly, truly love him. And again, why am I bringing this up now? Because he should be captain. Very simple. Make Francisco Lindor the captain. He deserves it, and he's going to have experience with being a captain. Look at this. He was named to be the Team Puerto Rico team captain in the 2026 World Baseball Classic. And if you look at his statistics last year, if it wasn't for a guy named Shohei Ohtani, Lindor would most certainly be the MVP. This is actually his current stats. Last year, he was even better. Even a solid year this year. OPS plus at 103, slugging pretty well. He's got a homer. His OBP is around 330. His stats last year were even better than this. I honestly thought the graphic at first was his 2024 stats, but here are his 25 stats, which also do him justice. And again, if it wasn't for Ohtani, he would be MVP last year. If it wasn't for Ohtani going 50-50, he is fantastic. And another cool thing about Lindor is he's a great leadoff hitter. This year, he has nearly a 500 on-base percentage as the first at-bat of the game. So plenty of greatness from Francisco Lindor. But what most especially showed that he should be captain was last night. Take a look at this clip.
And Francisco cracks one in the right field for a base. Beatty will score. Taylor stopped it. Lindor with the ball cut off. Now is trapped between first and second. He waves Taylor to try and score, and Taylor will cross the plate. Lindor will get tagged out, but the run will count. Mets have a 4-0 lead.
You see Lindor there. He is showing leadership. He was on the base paths. He noticed that Wilson Contreras, who is normally a catcher, now a first baseman with the Cardinals, had his complete back to the play. He had no idea what was happening. Lindor picked that up, so he pointed at Tyrone Taylor and said, go home, because he knew baseball, and he knew that Contreras he had his back to the play. He wasn't going to see anything, and Contreras starts sprinting at Lindor to get him out because he's in the middle of nowhere. So Lindor goes, all right, Tyrone, go home. He goes home knowing that if Taylor touches the plate before Lindor gets tagged out, that Taylor is safe and it's an extra run. Lindor's smartness and baseball IQ gave the Mets an extra run last night. And I looked at that play and I said, Francisco Lindor should be captain of this team. Very simple. Make that guy the captain. He deserves it. Baseball savvy, baseball smart. He's got the swag. He's got the stats. He's got it all. Give me Lindor. As always, ladies and gentlemen, I want to finish this one off with some comments. Phil saying, let's go Mets. Absolutely. Let's go Mets as always, Phil. Thank you for commenting so much on the videos. Really appreciate it, my friend. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have today for this edition of Mets Digest. Moral of the story, Mets are fleecing the MLB. Griffin Canning has been awesome, and Francisco Lindor should be captain of this franchise. But that is all the time we have today. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, let's go Mets.